Is obviously still not clear, but if the Conservatives do form an alliance with the Liberal Democrats, could it work in practice and could it last? Well, there's one council in this region where the two parties have worked closely for years. Let's go live to Ipswich now, and our chief reporter Kim Riley.
Yeah, Ipswich Borough Council was actually controlled by Labour for 25 years, up to 2004. But then it went into what we call hung council territory with no one in overall control. And since then, most unusually, it's been run by a joint administration. Conservatives and Liberal Democrat councillors working together, Labour in opposition. The two party leaders making that formal arrangement hang together, Conservative Liz Harsant, one of 18 Tory councillors after Thursday's election, and the Lib Dem leader Andrew Cann, who now heads a group of 7 councillors. They say give and take, looking for common ground, has helped them achieve a lot.
I feel we're quite close in our the way we think and the way we want this town to move forward. Nationally, I'm not so sure that that's going to be the case, but certainly from a borough council perspective, I think it's worked exceedingly well.
You hope this arrangement will continue?
I hope it will, yes.
Well, it's quite simple, really. If you talk to someone, and if that conversation is an open one and a transparent one, then there's no reason why you can't find the things that you all agree with. And if both sides of any coalition are willing to give, and genuinely give, then there's no reason why it can't work.
As we speak, both parties are in separate meetings with their councillors. They must decide tonight whether to continue with this arrangement. The Conservatives all too well aware that if the Lib Dems decided to jump into bed with Labour, it would put them, the Tories, into opposition. But bear one thing in mind, during the period of this arrangement, Labour councillors have been extremely critical of their Liberal Democrat colleagues, and relations between the two parties decidedly prickly. Back to you.
Kim, thank you very much. Later in the programme, the controversy over school SATs tests and Mike Cartwright.
A former detective in Essex has been jailed for 2 years for perverting the course of justice. Robert Sloane broke the rules for dealing with informants. Gareth George is in Chelmsford now. Gareth.
Well, this was a fascinating case because it shone a light into the murky world where police officers and criminals mix. Robert Sloane was in the Essex force for 28 years, and the court heard how he'd brought hundreds of criminals to book. He was described as a master at running informants, but he broke the rules in his dealings with an informant called Wayne Taylor. Taylor's now in jail and was described in court as a major criminal, and Sloane was accused of helping Taylor put forward a false mitigation. The judge told Sloane, "You thought you could be an old-fashioned copper who could ignore all the rules." And the judge added, "The damage that you have done to the system of justice and your force is very substantial." Sloane was sentenced to 2 years, and his lawyer reminded the court that a prison sentence is particularly unpleasant for a former policeman for obvious reasons. Essex Police issued a statement. They said, "As a force, we are determined to ensure our officers and staff abide by the law." And the Crown Prosecution Service originally wanted to have this case held behind closed doors. It's only because of a legal challenge that any of this can be reported.
Gareth, thank you very much.
Several hundred students at the University of Essex who say they've been disturbed by building work are being given £500 in compensation. The students say the noise wakes them up early and makes it impossible to study.
Work converting the old boiler house at the University of Essex started 6 months ago, and so almost immediately did complaints about the noise. It's costing £5 million and will create new teaching rooms and a theatre area. But for the students who live in the 2 tower blocks beside the site, the building work has taken its toll.
We were seeing kind of drilling noises coming through at about 7 a.m, 8 a.m. Also, the vibrations were causing a lot of disturbances. The rooms were actually vibrating, so even those who are up and studying will find it difficult to concentrate.
The university says it's worked hard with the contractors to keep the disturbance to a minimum, but it's also now agreed to dish out the best part of £170,000 in compensation. £500 per room for students right next to the site, £100 per room for those whose accommodation is slightly further away.
This is unprecedented. We've never had this size of project really, and this level of disruption so close to the accommodation. It is really very close. I would also like to say that it's not tuition fee income that's being given back to students, it is rent income. It's not anything to do with tuition fees or taxpayers' money.
I'd grab it. I'd grab the money.
£500 for like missing some sleep though.
I'm sure if somebody started building work next to you at 6 in the morning, you'd be straight around there asking them to maybe wait a bit later.
The university says that while giving compensation like this is not something it's done before or expects to do again, it does have a duty to be fair to its tenants. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East.
At the general elections, the Conservatives turned East Anglia into a sea of blue, but the local elections in Essex, Suffolk and Norfolk weren't quite as dramatic. No councils changed hands, but a pack of cards was used to decide one ward.
A dead heat in the case of South Ward created excitement in Great Yarmouth. After 4 recounts, there were 3 choices: draw lots, toss a coin or cut a deck of cards. They took the cards. Conservative Bob Peck went first. Charlie Marsden drew next, winning the seat for Labour.
At the moment it's going to leave a big gap. I've never been unemployed or been in a position where I don't have something to drive myself forward.
It didn't result in a party reshuffle. The Conservatives held on to Great Yarmouth. In Ipswich there was no change, there's still no overall control, and the Conservatives held on to Waveney. In Essex, Brentwood West also had 4 recounts after a tie. They too resorted to similar options. They opted for lots. Although the Conservative pulled the short straw, the party held the council. The Conservatives also held on to Basildon, Brentwood, Harlow, Rochford and Southend-on-Sea. Colchester still has no overall control. So, although the national political picture has changed dramatically, the local one has stayed the same. Debbie Tubby, BBC Look East.
Well, the football season is over. Time with all the sports news with Tom Williams.
Yes, thank you. We'll kick off at Carrow Road, where it was party time, the moment every player dreams of, lifting the championship trophy. The Canaries did that on Saturday, even though the final game didn't go Paul Lambert's way.
Let the hero worshipping begin. Since Paul Lambert joined Norwich City, he's taken them from rock bottom all the way to the top.
I think after the Colchester result, it's actually going to be absolutely brilliant, and to go up as champions is absolutely exceptional.
Despite the driving rain, this didn't stop the party atmosphere at Carrow Road. With nothing to play for, Carlisle soon became the party poopers. 57 seconds in, and they got their first goal. Their second came moments after. Norwich City stunned at home. 2-0 to the visitors, the final score. Norwich City eager to crack on with their season finale.
It's brilliant. They've worked really hard, and to turn it around, and it has been a credit to the football club. And the fans have played a huge part in it, and it's been great.
Now a much-needed summer recess to recharge. The next challenge for Paul Lambert's Norwich, the Championship. Kate Riley, BBC Look East, Carrow Road.
Yes, great scenes there at the end. Likewise at Colchester, who signed off their League One season with a 1-0 win. Injury time against Leyton Orient, handball. Kevin Lisby stuck the penalty away. The U's finished 8th. Meanwhile, relegated Southend took the lead through Frank Musa, but Southampton came back to win 3-1. And don't forget all the